All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Thoughts from Simon. Welcome back to the channel. Also, I've been uploading these to Spotify now under the Weekly Voice Memos podcast, which is weird because this used to be the Weekly Voice Memos YouTube channel. I don't know. I just think people enjoy, people miss the podcast. It's interesting because although it's one of the projects I paid the least attention to that I've ever done online, the podcast is always a thing that when people, DM me or when I meet people in person, they always mention the podcast. It's one of the coolest things ever. And looking back at like the Spotify Wrapped, like the Weekly Voice Memos podcast was like 600 people's top podcast of the year. Which again is weird because I'm just here rambling, talking about random stuff, and a lot of it is dated, to be honest. I'm embarrassed about a lot of what I said in that podcast, but it's cool, and people enjoy it. And honestly, like, looking at what I consume the most, I love super long-form content, and just the ability to just put on a video, a podcast, and just do other things in your life. A lot of you guys are probably doing that right now. Like, the idea that you can spend time listening to someone talk about things that are somewhat interesting, and that's kind of like almost comfort content in a sense. So yeah, we're back. I'm recording this the same day that I recorded the last episode. Just actually changed out the shirt because I didn't want you guys to think I'm wearing the same shirt every time. But welcome back. And the reason why I'm recording this the same day is because I feel like the past week that I spent in Hawaii really gave myself a lot of perspective in terms of like, life and just being able to think about things without the constant stress of needing to get other things done. A lot of times when we're constantly stressed, I feel like, at least personally, it's this tunnel vision thing where you can only focus on, the next thing. But when we're able to pull out of that, all of a sudden you get a broader view at everything and get some more air in your brain, if that makes any sense. And so for that reason, I'm back here talking. Also, I feel like I'm going to be chilling this week, not working as much. And what's really fun is being able to just have these conversations and post these random rants and thoughts and all that good stuff. Shout out Pikachu here. You already know. This is a Pikachu Squishmallow. Actually, funny story about this one is I went to Target for a reason that didn't include buying this thing. And then I come across the Squishmallow, right? And I'm like, dang, this is really cool. This is probably pretty high demand. And then as soon as I turn the corner to see this on the shelf, this girl comes screaming around the corner, like literally full sprint, like a Looney Tunes ass drift around the corner. And she's like, oh my God, they're here. Grabs one of these Pikachus off the shelf and runs back. Meanwhile, there's one more Pikachu left. I'm like, I have to buy it now. Like, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. So now this Pikachu's here. They also released some other Squishmallows, which was really cool. But anyway, something I want to talk about is the idea of having different types of people in your life. Something that I've had to learn as I have now moved to Austin, a new city, with some of my friends that I work with. And something that quickly became apparent was this gaping hole within my own social life. I love my friends. I love Max, Chris, and all the Anne-Marie, everyone I live with. But in a sense, I'd always been missing, while I've been here in Austin, this other half. And it's been really hard, and I think that's what led to my burnout. So if we rewind, I like to think about my friends in different buckets or groups. I have my friends that I made in high school that are some of my closest friends. And we just became friends because we liked each other. We're in the same classes, whatnot. And we grew really close. We took a road trip together, all that stuff you guys know. And then I have my other friends who are creative friends that I met through online because we shared the same interests, and really incredible relationships have been formed from that as well. And the thing is, for a while, I had a really good balance. I had my friends in college or high school that I'd hang out with And then I'd build businesses with some of my creative friends, and I'd catch up and we'd work together. It was almost like a co-working thing, and we became really close. But there was always this balance, this clear give and take. And what was nice is, I think a lot of times in relationships or just in places and things we do, we're looking for escapes, which sounds not that healthy, but it's the reality, at least what I've seen. You know, I got the climbing gym membership so I could clear my head from work or clear my head from relationships, or maybe you like going ice skating, or you like this specific sport. It's an escape. You like this specific creator. It's an escape. You like this video game. And for me, I found a lot of escapes within people while I was in college, in terms of I would just go over to a friend's house at 7 a.m. We'd watch the Manchester United game. I'd go play FIFA with a friend. We'd go out. We'd party. That sort of thing. And then when I wanted to get my mind off of that, then I'd go back and create and make videos and be with these creative people. And there was always this distinction. What's cool about having friends in high school and college, that, at least from my perspective, what was really cool about those relationships is they never gave a shit about this. They never cared about running businesses or YouTube videos or all this stuff. That's not why we were friends. And I'd never bring up anything crazy that I was working on. Maybe there's something I'd be excited about, but for the most part, they didn't care. They don't care, okay? They care about us sticking around in a Walmart parking lot, or, you know, going to the gym or doing ice baths, or there'd be this sense of, yo, we're just here to have fun. And that was really cool. And I think that's a rare thing as well. But that was like one side of my life that I would go to whenever work was stressing me out, whenever, you know, a video wasn't getting done on a deadline, whenever I just had something on my mind, I could always go hang out with the guys and go lift or go play FIFA or go on a road trip. And it would quickly detach me from the stress that I felt in work. The greatest example I have of this is when we first went on our first road trip, Project West. It was a month around the country. And I remember that same month, I was really stressed out about a Keep It Wholesome release, one of my merch brands. And it was kind of going on like very soon after that trip. And I would have been so stressed, just in the trenches, trying to ship out packages, figuring out logistics, how am I going to do the photo shoot, all this stuff. And when we went on that road trip, when I was with my friends for a month, my mind went blank. And this is why I love nature as an escape as well, because my mind just gone blank. And that was the first time I first recognized like the power of nature and being out in the middle of nowhere. And then second, the power of having different types of friend groups or different people. Growing up, I had grown up in this area that was extremely white. Like, there were a few other Asian kids in the entire school, maybe like one or two black kids. Like, it was ridiculous. But then it was like a very liberal area because the big city influence. It was like this weird dynamic. But because of that, I remember growing up and getting heckled by a lot of the kids for being Asian, for being, you know, they do just be racist. Like, kids don't know better, especially if you're, you know, I was a kid that didn't fit in, and that was really difficult. I want to make a film about it. But what that created in me growing up through high school, through middle school, was a sense of I need to belong. This desire to be like one of the cool kids, and the desire to fit in so bad. And a lot of us have this desire in high school, I feel like, because kids are brutal, and it's a place where you have to fit into one of these groups or else you're going to be stranded at sea. And so because of that, I was able to fit in pretty well. I had this desire to like act like one of the cool kids, get into sports, get into this, be able to talk about anime, but then also be able to talk about, you know, a football game or be athletic and play on a varsity sport. And because I gained this like ability to code switch in terms of fit any sort of scenario. Some people say this is bad or inauthentic, and I'd agree with you to some extent. It's taken a long time to get that individuality back, and I'm still working on it. But just because of how I was raised, and this is my analysis of it, it's very much a sense of like code switching and fitting any situation that I was in. In a sense, I still feel like I do that in my life at some points. When I'm with my friends back at home, it's almost a different side of myself than I'm with my creator friends or when I'm at these events. I think the line slowly gets blurred as you spend more time with people. But because of that need to fit in and being able to fit in all these different categories, I think I was able to fit in with a lot of people easier later on in life. And all this to say, that's why being in Austin has been pretty difficult in terms of moving away from those friends who don't care about what I do for a living. Moving away from the people that know what I do or know anything about social media or who don't know anything about social media. And I miss that. And I'd come to realize this as I was driving back home. I think I'd just gotten my broken hard drive and then done all these errands, and I'd been feeling really pressured that I wasn't doing enough, I wasn't helping in the business enough, and all this stuff. And I knew it was coming. Like, I don't mean to talk about this as some pity party thing, because I pushed myself to my limits and I knew the repercussions of that. But I just completely broke down in the car. Like, I had a little bit of a breakdown. And I'd come to realize this immense sense of like loneliness in my life here in Austin. I think it's what everyone feels to an extent when they graduate college or they start a job and do this, but it was the first time I recognized how lonely I felt, because there was not this outlet of people or this group that I had back in Michigan, back in college, back in high school. These people that didn't care what I did. We could just hang out and not talk about the creator economy or business or anything. And I still have that to an extent here, but it's not a clear separation. I was watching this, and I talked about this in the last episode, but there was this quote from this Netflix documentary about John Baptiste, about him talking about how crazy the world got. He won Grammys, he's done all this stuff. And let me find my phone real quick, because I think it was really impactful in terms of the way he explained this. And it's a concept that we all know, but I'm starting to feel. He says, you got to protect yourself from the ambition from taking over in your life. You got to protect it from becoming the primary way you relate to yourself and to your loved ones. And I thought that hit so deep. You have to protect your ambition. You have to protect yourself from your ambition so that it doesn't become the primary way that you relate to your loved ones and your relatives and everyone around you. And that was sort of like an unlock moment for me, where what you do should never be the main way you connect with the majority of people around you. Getting so deeply into the creator space and building these communities of creators, like at the end of the day, the connection point is that we're creators or we're trying to make some meaningful content online. But sometimes I just miss the friends that I love and hung out with because we loved FIFA or loved nature or just the gym. And that's so much more rare now because it's so easy to meet people online who are creating. And it's this reverse thing, because when I first started, I felt so lonely because I was in my hometown and no one else made videos. And so I went out in the world to search that. But in search of that, I've disconnected myself from the original base and foundation of friends that I had in my life. And it's such a scary thing. Maybe it's just part of growing up. You have to learn how to meet new friends. But meeting friends is hard, man. And I'm learning that. And yeah, this is just this thought I had spawned by that documentary. And this is definitely one of the more rambly ones. But I want you guys to know that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and it's hard. I think moving out and all this stuff is cool. It's great to get the sense of autonomy. You know, I can do whatever I want at whatever point. I can spend my days however I want. That's amazing. But there are hardships to it. And this is one of those, which is it's hard to meet friends in a new city where your only connection point can't be what you do or what your passion is and or what you do for work, I guess. Just a thought. Just a thought. But I think if anything, it was a great realization that like for someone's brain who's going a million miles per hour all the time, you need those people, those places where you can just forget about it. And for me, that was those people. And I kind of lost those, so there's no way to kind of loosen the pressure gauge and let some air out. And I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah, I'm not sure what the purpose of this rant is, but I think as driven ambition, if you're a driven, ambitious person, it's to really make sure that you have different pockets in your life of people that serve as escapes for the other places. Your whole world, I think, becomes more singular as you get older. Especially if you're pursuing something unconventional, it gets very singular. Like the people I hang out with now are majority people that do the same thing I do. The people that I find myself and I think I'm going to spend time with in the next 10, 20 years, majority are going to slowly become more the people that I'm on the same path as, which is natural. That happens in the world. If work at a company, you're probably going to hang out with a lot more people who are on the same schedule as you, in the same area, at the same company. Life becomes that. But there's an emphasis, I think, on mental well-being, especially if you're taking an unconventional path, that you need to remain grounded in those people who you started this thing with and who are there for you no matter what you're doing in your life. It's a special thing. And so, yeah, if anything, I hope this video is a reminder that you need to protect yourself from your ambition and make sure that it is, when you look around, make sure that it is not the main way you're relating to your family, your friends, or those you love. There's way more to you than that, and it's a constant battle you have to fight. It takes more effort to talk to people or reach out, but I'm learning it's more and more important. And yeah, that's just my experience, but an interesting thought I had. I appreciate you guys for being here. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Much love.